All right, buckle up. Today we're doing a deep dive on LeetCode.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically, like, does crushing it on LeetCode actually mean you'll land that awesome dev job?
Right.
We found this article, and it kind of throws some shade on the whole LeetCode craze.
Yeah.
And honestly, it makes some really good points.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It doesn't, like, totally trash LeetCode.
Okay.
It says it's useful, to practice your coding skills, but it warns about this LeetCode illusion. Have you heard of that?
LeetCode illusion? No, you're going to have to enlighten me.
Okay.
Tell
me more.
So it's this idea that, like, if you can solve every single LeetCode problem out there, you're automatically, like, you've got it made when it comes to interviews and getting the job.
Okay.
But the article's like, hold on, not so fast. Okay.
It's kind of like thinking you can win a marathon just by running sprints on a treadmill.
Right.
Like, yeah, you're building some muscle, but there's a whole lot more to it.
Okay, so I'm starting to see where this is going.
Yeah.
You're saying there's a difference between, like, writing code that just passes a test.
Right.
And writing code that's actually,
Good.
Good, yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Like, interviewers, they're looking for more than just, does it work? They want to see how you think, how you break down these crazy complex problems, how well you can explain what's going on in your brain, your thought process. They need to know if you can explain your solutions to, like, your teammates, right?
Yeah.
Especially if they're not, like, as deep in the code as you are.
Totally. So, like, it's not enough to just come in with some, like, super elegant one-line solution, even if it, like, technically works.
Right. It might seem impressive on the surface.
Yeah.
But if you're like, I don't know how I did that, or you can't explain the why behind your code, that's a red flag.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like you come in with this amazing website mock-up.
Yeah.
Looks stunning.
Right.
And someone's like, hey, how'd you do that drop down? That's slick. And you're like,
Yeah.
You got to be able to explain your choices, justify why you did what you did.
Totally. It's about showing that you understand the how and the why.
Yes. Exactly.
Not that you just, like, memorize the answer.
Yes, and this is where the LeetCode illusion gets even, like, trickier. The article talks about this muscle memory trap.
Oh, interesting.
So you start recognizing patterns from doing so much LeetCode, and you're kind of just memorizing solutions without really, like, deeply understanding them.
Right.
And then you get into an interview.
Yeah.
And the problem's just a little different, throws you a curveball.
Right.
You're like, oh.
You freeze up.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, happens all the time in real-world software development.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you can't always just Google for the solution
that
perfectly matches what your problem is.
Exactly. Real-world problems are messy. They don't fit into those neat little LeetCode boxes.
Totally.
So, yeah, knowing your algorithms is important, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
This article really drives home that interviewers, they want to see adaptability. Can you think critically? Apply your knowledge to new situations. Even come up with creative solutions that aren't just straight out of the LeetCode playbook.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's about thinking outside the box a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so acing LeetCode doesn't guarantee you'll ace the interview.
Right.
But this article goes deeper, right?
It does, yeah.
It's not just about interview skills, it's about the code itself. They actually use the term trash code, which, whoa, that's kind of harsh.
It is. Strong words. But they have a point.
Okay.
A lot of the solutions you find on LeetCode, they work, technically.
Right.
But they're not what you'd call good code. Not in the real world.
Good point. Like, my code might, compile and run, but that doesn't mean anyone else is going to want to look at it, let alone work on it.
Exactly. And the article claims LeetCode can sometimes even, like, encourage that kind of coding.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, you're often rewarded for finding the shortest, like, most clever solution.
Right, yeah.
Even if it's, like, impossible to understand.
Right. Yeah, you got to show off how smart you are.
Exactly. But in the real world, code needs to be,
readable,
maintainable,
right,
scalable.
Yeah.
These are important things.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
We've talked about readability.
Right.
Basically, writing code that doesn't make other developers want to, like, pull their hair out.
Right. You want people to enjoy working with your code, not dread it.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, but what about maintainability? What does that even mean?
Okay, so think about a massive software system.
Yeah.
Like Imagine something like an online banking app.
Okay, yeah.
Or a social media platform, right?
Right.
These things are constantly evolving, adding new features, fixing bugs.
Yeah, the work never ends.
Never ends. So if the code base is a tangled mess, even a tiny change can cause a huge headache.
Ouch, yeah.
Right. You don't want to be that developer who breaks everything with a one-line change.
Yeah, no one wants to be that person.
No one. So maintainability is all about writing code that's easy to understand, easy to modify, and easy to extend without, breaking everything else.
Right. It's like future-proofing your code as much as you can.
Exactly. And then there's scalability,
right?
Which basically means, can your code handle growth, more users, more data, more complexity? Will it still hold up?
Right. Yeah, that's crucial.
It is, especially for companies that are growing quickly.
Totally. So is the article saying that if you're only prepping with LeetCode, that you're not going to be ready for that?
It can create a bit of a blind spot for sure.
Okay, I see.
On LeetCode, you're usually dealing with these small, self-contained problems.
Right.
But in the real world, your code needs to play nice with a whole ecosystem of other code.
Right.
Databases, APIs.
It's a whole different ballgame.
A whole other world.
Yeah.
It's less about finding this, super brilliant algorithm.
Oh, okay.
And more about understanding the big picture of software engineering, how it all fits together.
So it's less about being a code ninja and more about being a code architect.
That's a great way to put it. It's about designing systems that are,
elegant,
maintainable, scalable, all those good things.
Right. All those things we just talked about.
Exactly. And that's where those software engineering principles come in.
Okay, yes. The principles. Can you give me some concrete examples?
Sure, yeah. Like, a big one is DRY. Don't repeat yourself.
Okay, I've heard of DRY.
It's all about writing reusable code.
Right.
So you're not constantly reinventing the wheel.
Makes sense.
Then there are the solid principles, which are a whole other can of worms.
Okay.
But basically, they're guidelines for writing object-oriented code that's, robust, flexible, easy to maintain, all that good stuff.
Right. It's about writing code that's built to last.
Exactly. And the article also mentions design patterns.
Okay.
These are like proven solutions to common software design problems.
So like best practices that everyone agrees on.
Exactly. They provide a shared vocabulary, and best practices for structuring your code.
Okay.
Which is super important when you're collaborating with other developers on large projects.
Yeah, it keeps everyone on the same page.
Exactly.
So it's like, instead of just focusing on solving the problem right in front of you, you need to be thinking about how your code fits into the larger system.
Yes.
How it can be maintained and scaled over time.
Precisely. It's thinking about the long game.
Right.
And that's where experience outside of LeetCode is super valuable.
So if someone's listening to this and they're feeling a little overwhelmed, like maybe they've been too focused on LeetCode, what's the advice? What can they do to broaden their skill set and approach these interviews with more confidence?
Well, the article's like, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Okay. Yeah.
It encourages people to check out those classic coding books.
Right.
The ones that have been around forever.
So the OGs.
Yeah, exactly. The OGs of coding books.
Yeah.
They cover all the fundamentals really well.
Right.
And they often have common interview questions and strategies too.
So it's like, don't just chase the newest, shiniest thing.
Exactly.
You got to have that solid foundation to build on.
Exactly. It also talks about online courses.
Okay.
Especially the ones that go beyond just algorithms,
Right, yeah.
They dive into things like software design principles.
Okay.
Testing, version control with Git, all that stuff.
So you get a taste of what it's actually like to,
The real world. You work on a real project, yeah.
Contributing to open source projects is another thing they highly recommend.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a fantastic way to collaborate with other developers.
Mm-hmm.
Learn from their code, get feedback on your own stuff,
right,
and really see how software is built in a real collaborative environment.
Yeah, it's like that saying,
what is it?
Show me your GitHub and I'll tell you what kind of developer you are.
Yes, exactly. Even if you're short on time, though,
okay,
you can still get that collaborative experience.
Mm-hmm.
The article suggests doing some code reviews.
Okay, yeah, good idea.
With friends, colleagues, online communities, whatever works.
Right.
So instead of just coding alone in your basement.
Yeah, you're in your little coding cave. Exactly. You're getting feedback, learning to spot issues, developing an eye for quality.
So it's about leveling up your code sense.
Yes, exactly.
Like what makes for good code, not just code that works.
Because at the end of the day, writing good code is about more than just making it work, right?
Right.
It's about